What movie are you convinced people only pretend to enjoy? Saw Oppenheimer last weekend because many people loved it. For me at least, it was a confusing mess with like 3 different timelines constantly jumping forwards and backwards. The reveals of characters showing up at the end fell flat for me because in the mess I'd completely forgotten their role in the story. I like more traditional stories, so this didn't work for me. Midsommar. And I say this because Hereditary was damn good whereas Midsommar was not. When I went to see it in theaters, people were laughing. Like the entire theater. I think people refused to believe Ari Aster couldn't make a bad movie and wanted this movie to be good, so they just willed it to be so. That movie was a pile of shit, Elf. Fucking shit movie that comprises of essentially the same joke. LOL. Will Ferrell is acting like a kid for 2 hours. But because it's a Christmas movie du jour, everyone professes to love watching it, but only at Christmas, because they can acknowledge its gravity-defying shittery at other times. I just watched all of the Twilight movies. There's no way in hell people actually liked those things. Not unless you were 13 when they came out. If you were an adult and were crying when Bella got married to Edward, you were messed up in the head. Anyone on Team Jake is a fucking weirdo. 2. Marvel movies. It's controversial, but someone had to say it. It's all green screen and special effects, the stories are annoyingly hard to follow and boring as shit, and the acting really sucks. I am sorry. I do not like Marvel movies, and they could have been way cooler than they are. None. I'm sure some people pretend to like something in the same way they pretend to have read something, but to argue that everyone who has watched and liked a certain film is only pretending is naive. There's no objectivity in the way people's brains are wired to enjoy things. No Time to Die, Dark Knight Rises. They are pretty rich movies and have a good amount of cool moments in them. But the plot for both is basically a whole after another for 3 hours. Not non-enjoyable, but people call them amazing, perfect, poignant. Really, the Snyder Cut of Justice League. People only liked it because it's more serious than the theatrical cut, and it's cool to rag on Joss Whedon now. But it's still just a 4-hour slog with too much slow-mo and a flawed foundation that is most in BVS, especially the latter. You know what? Life sucks. People have a need to disconnect with all the shit around us and have an hour and a half or so of not having to smell it. If people get that from some terrible fucking movie about flying cars or asshole spinsters, good on them. Take that break. Meet the Parents. The entire movie gives me second-hand embarrassment, and most of his apparently humorous problems could be solved by actually communicating or not making the absolute worst choice in any given situation. I have no idea how anyone finds that movie funny. Spirited Away. I watched it twice to try and understand the hype, but I just didn't get it. The animation is great, but I don't have much more to say positively about it. Since I'm getting downvoted, can I ask what people like about the movie? Genuine question. 2001: A Space Odyssey. Yes, it was groundbreaking visually. But the movie is so boring it makes you want to slit your wrists. I love many other Kubrick movies, but I think people just pretend to like 2001. I think they are secretly bored through most of it. Multiverse of Madness. I thought it was the most jumbled mess of a movie. Every scene felt like someone impatiently tapping their foot just trying to get to the next scene. And I don't know who's writing the humor for these movies, but they're probably 12. Breakfast at Tiffany's. It was plotting, shallow, and has the iconic outfits in that one clip of Moon River to recommend it solely. Audrey was absolutely charming in Sabrina, so I know it wasn't the actress, just the story that lost me. The Blair Witch Project. It's just a bunch of screaming laid over top of super shaky camera footage. Nothing ever happens, aside from everyone saying fuck enough times to make even Ricky, Julian, and Bubbles shy away. The Tree of Life. This is the most overhyped turd ever put on the silver screen. It won a Golden Palm in Games. I will never get those as 139 minutes back. And they re-released it with an additional 49 minutes. Unbelievable. The Marvels. The story was bad, the green screen was bad, the villain was comical but not in a good way, and there was zero character development. It made any Michael Bay movie seem like Citizen Kane in comparison. Scary Movie. I didn't like those movies when they came out and liked them even less as an adult. They're not just dumb, they're offensively dumb. All those 2000s parody movies are just trash emo. Any movie with a sequel number that's bigger than 3. Now don't get me wrong, you can have your guilty pleasures. But somewhere around that point the novelty really takes a nosedive for me. The Shape of Water. It was over the top ludicrous emo. I didn't actually even pretend to enjoy it though, but given it won the Oscar for Best Picture it gagged me. Someone must have enjoyed it. Bird Box. Honestly a boring movie. It doesn't even have the horrors beyond your comprehension vibe. It's just made clear that you aren't allowed to see what's making everybody go insane. Get Out. It's goofy as fuck and the whole premise is a massive meme. White people bad, black people good. People only pretend to enjoy it so they don't come across as racists. I think prequel fans love the prequels based on how awful they are, but don't you dare ever say the prequels ruined Star Wars. This weapon is your life, Anakin. The English Patient. I've watched it 3 times to try to see what others see in it. The pace is so slow. The main characters are dull. I don't get it. Legally Blonde. I tried to watch it as a teenager and thought it was just so stupid. I couldn't even finish it, but there are people that love the movie. Most Disney films nowadays, like the live-action remake ones, are those advertised as the first Disney movie with different race, LGBTQ or something. The Godfather trilogy, all 3, but I know the 3rd is allegedly a dud. I tried watching it but couldn't, so many unneeded lengthy landscape shots. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. The Player. Anything Adam Sandler did after Happy Gilmore. Any of the tiresome Lord of the Rings borology. I'm sure there are many people who really liked it. But there are at least as many people who pretend to like Oppenheimer only to not seem stupid. Midnight in Paris. Life Aquatic. La La Land. Goonies edited to add maybe people aren't pretending to like it, but liking it is just nostalgia. I think some people just pretend to enjoy The Notebook because it's considered romantic, but it's actually kinda cheesy and unrealistic. It's gotta be Shawshank Redemption. It's definitely not worth the top movie of all time rating. It's not even in the top 20 for me anyway. Maybe they don't necessarily pretend to enjoy it, but I can't be the only person who thought Hereditary was just plain dumb, can I? The first Doctor Strange movie. I don't get the appeal. The characters were boring and the villain was an evil cloud. WTF is this? Forrest Gump. It's one of my least favorite Hanks films and yet people seem to swoon over it. I just don't get it, I guess. None. I'm not enough of a narcissist to believe that only my opinion could be right and everyone secretly agrees with me. Podcasts where the hosts just laugh at everything the other hosts' guests say. Nothing is that funny for that long, dude. So far this list 80 films I like or at least don't particularly mind. Memento, it's not as clever as you think it is. Star Wars prequels. You don't like the movies, you like the expanded universe of video games, cartoons and comics. Titanic. Watched it at a sleepover as a teenager after my friend assured me it was amazing. 3 hours wasted. I'm not watching anything I don't enjoy. If other people are watching it, I'll go find something else to do. The Great Gatsby. I know it's an American, I don't get it. It's really just The OK Gatsby, literally any movie made by Quentin Tarantino. I just cannot understand how people enjoy the schlock. At this point, any of them. I gave up on movies and TV years ago. Nothing even worth giving a shot to. The Purge. I love the concept, but the movie was unbelievably boring given how cool it could have been. Shutter Island. How was it a twist to anyone that had seen a movie in the years leading up to it? Citizen Kane. I get what it did for movies. You can't tell me that slog is actually entertaining you. Shawshank Redemption. It's really nothing special. A lot of prison rape early on, then a jailbreak. I know it's Reddit's favorite movie, but Requiem for a Dream is a massively overrated piece of crap. Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. You're either on more drugs than they pretended to be or lying. The Banshees of Inisherin. That was a hard watch and a lot of confusion. Great acting though. The Killer on Netflix. New film, has all sorts of hype. After seeing it, I have no idea why. Blade Runner 2049. It's beautiful but boring AF, adds nothing new or exciting to the lore. A better title for this thread would have been, what movie do you personally dislike? Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Terrible acting. Absurd premise. What a waste of time. Zack Snyder's Justice League. Like yeah, it was good, but 4 hours? Not that good. Dunkirk. Snooze fest. Christopher Nolan is a genius but damn, that movie was a drag. 2001: A Space Odyssey. Dullest and most pretentious 2 hours of film I've ever seen. The Marvels. It's either people with low standards or people being contradictory. Citizens Kane. I was promised an incredible experience and that was the ending. I don't think anyone enjoys Schindler's List, but it's a good film to watch. Most of John Wayne's movies are pure tripe. I've never seen The Fascination. Forrest Gump. The whole movie from start to finish is just not great at all. My top 3 guesses would be The Witch, Midsummer, Valhalla Rising. Anything with Chris Farley or Adam Sandler in it except for Uncut Gems. Midsummer, it's nothing but a pretentious, glorified slasher film. Halloween 2018 ends. Unbelievably stupid and terrible movies. Chungking Express. I remember seeing it once and I don't get it. We aren't about to do this with Oppenheimer or Barbie, are we? The Big Lebowski. Anchorman. I just can't get into either tbh. Us. It's not scary at all and the premise is plain stupid. Avatar, the Blue People one. Never saw the second one.